Can't believe I'm saying this, but it looks like Xbox is doubling down on exclusives, and that might include Elder Scrolls 6. What is up, guys? It's Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff, the latest news, rumors, games, accessories. I talk about all of it to make sure that you are Xbox ready, just like me.
Ray forgot again. 80% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed, so if you're one of them, subscribe and set your notifications to all, and check out his Instagram where he's talking about the Avatar franchise and just ripping that live action show season 2 to shreds. It's hilarious. I don't even watch the show. I'm more addicted to his reels about it than actually watching the show.
And today, Jimmy Champagne is joining us once again, and I'm glad to have his perspective because we're going to talk about topics that are very near and dear to his heart, including Xbox exclusives and the fate of Bethesda game studios. So Jim, it's crazy that we're even talking about the possibility of more Xbox exclusive. Even just if you asked me about this a couple of months ago, I would have been like, there's no way that Xbox is turning back to exclusives. I feel like the genie's already out of the bottle. Halo is going to freaking PlayStation 5. Gears is already on PlayStation 5. Forza Horizon 5 also on PlayStation 5. All of their biggest franchises making the jump. I feel like you can't really come back from that. And then, of course, we sat in the audience at the Xbox Game Showcase back in June when they announced that they were indeed going back to exclusives, with Gears E-Day being Xbox exclusive when it comes out in October, and then Clockwork Revolution when that comes out in 2027. And a lot of people had questions. They were like, okay, well, like, are they gonna double back? Are they gonna change their minds? If Gears E-Day comes out and it's a flop, are they gonna release the PlayStation 5 version to make up that revenue lost? And they kept telling us, no, that's not the case. That's not the case, guys. We're for real this time. We're gonna have an exclusive every single year beyond just this year and 2027. And it looks like, according to Bloomberg, that they're gonna do just that. They're doubling down on exclusives. I cannot believe it. They say while big multiplayer games will still be available on all major platforms, Xbox will make more of its best titles exclusive to Xbox, so gamers have a reason to buy its console. Jim, what's your take on this? Because you've always been pretty hard on the traditional exclusive sell consoles model, even as everything was shifting and changing at Xbox. What's your take?
Yeah, back in the day when Xbox was still doing exclusives, my issue wasn't that they were exclusive. It was that the games weren't speaking to fans. So you're just like limiting the reach, right? Because you're making a game for a broader audience, but then trying to like force it down the throats of your hardcore fans. So it never really made sense. Then we get stuff like Gears E-Day, Halo Campaign Evolved, which is not exclusive but should be, games that actually speak to the audience. That makes even less sense to me. So I love that they're going back to exclusives. It just makes me happy. It's like that scene from The Warriors when they're all like hyped up and they're like, come out to play. That's what they're doing to Sony, and Sony deserves it right now. I'm not forgetting about the physical games thing. I'm so mad about that. And it seems like everyone else is too, because they're canceling their PS Plus. It kind of makes Clockwork Revolution becoming an exclusive make more sense, because that's not a game you end the exclusive run on, right? It's like, it seems cool, but if the plan is to do all of them, like all of the single player stuff going forward, then it's like a building block to something even cooler. I love this. I love this energy.
Yeah, it's been a weird, wild ride, and I've personally had swung back and forth on the scale. I will admit that. I remember when Jeff Keighley came out with this One More Thing in Gamescom 2024 and said that Indiana Jones was going to be coming out on PlayStation 5 in the spring, and I made a video immediately. I posted it like maybe an hour after that announcement and being like, I don't agree with this. I feel like it should be longer if it's going to be timed exclusivity. And I remember the comments at the time were overwhelmingly like, Ray, it's not that big of a deal. You're overthinking this. I was shocked. And so I was like, well, maybe this multi-platform thing could work out. So we've seen Asha herself came out and was like, the multi-platform thing did not work out, or was not working out. By the time that information even got back to us like that, I had settled somewhere in the middle, like, okay, what I would like to see is exactly what Bloomberg is describing. The multiplayer games like Call of Duty, and of course, like when Minecraft Dungeon comes out, that stuff being multi-platform, cool. But like the major tentpole franchises, especially the single player games, ideally Fable would be exclusive too, but they're in too deep with the PlayStation 5 version of that as well. Now, Jim, they're saying that the best Xbox titles are going to be exclusive. What do we think, if we're looking at the slate, I know it's hard to keep track of like what studios and games that Xbox still retains ownership of in the middle of all these craziness layoffs and studio spin-offs. But when we think of the best games for Xbox, what are we thinking?
Elder Scrolls 6, baby. Make it exclusive. People will buy an Xbox or build a PC with Windows for Elder Scrolls 6. There's no other way to put it. That's the game. That is if they nail it. If they don't Starfield it or Fallout 76 it, big if, right? But if they figure out how to actually get to work, get the job done, make the sequel to Skyrim that people have been waiting over a decade for, and then they say, wait, you're not going to be able to play this on PS5. Go buy the Helix, go buy whatever console we end up making. I think people will end up buying it because that's one of those games that breaks through to like my neighbor Conrad, who's an accountant and just bought a PS5 because that was the de facto console, right? Like he's going to hear about Elder Scrolls 6. He's going to hear it's on Xbox and not PS5. He's going to march his ass down to Best Buy and buy whatever the current Xbox is for that game. I know it. And I think he's doing pretty well. So I'm pretty sure he can afford it. And he's pretty cool.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like, do you think that even if Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, it's a 10 of 10 masterpiece on par with something like Skyrim, any other Elder Scrolls game? And do you think at these inflated prices, people would buy an Xbox or something like Project Helix for just Elder Scrolls?
I feel like the timing's going to work out pretty good for Elder Scrolls 6, where it'll probably come in right towards the tail end of all this RAM drama and SSD drama. So it could coincide perfectly with prices starting to drop on the potential $1,000 Helix and be like, hey, here's our sick marketing beat. Xbox is half the price that it was 2 years ago, and we're launching that price drop with Elder Scrolls 6. It kind of writes itself, if you ask me.
Yeah, especially if the next Elder Scrolls comes out on the Series X and S. We have no reason to believe that it won't. And if they can get that Series S especially down to like its original price point, even something like $350, I think people would definitely spring for a cheaper console like that just to play this game.
Dude, I think they'd pay $500, like $500, $600. I don't want to give Xbox any ideas, but like Elder Scrolls, if they nail it, is one of those games that's just going to light the world on fire. I mean, one big reason it's taken so long is because so many people are addicted to buying multiple copies of Skyrim, right?
But here's the thing though. We know that Xbox, in the midst of all of this craziness, the layoffs, the restructuring, the Xbox reset, we know that one of their priorities going forward is shipping an Elder Scrolls game, a new Fallout game being worked on at Obsidian, and priority franchises like Halo and Gears. So we know that a new Elder Scrolls is coming at some point. Or is it? Because we're hearing from Bethesda employees themselves, we're hearing from the union that represents them, that these layoffs also hit Bethesda pretty hard. In the last video, we talked about how id Studios was pretty much gutted entirely, and ZeniMax Online was hit pretty hard as well. Now they're saying that because of these layoffs, that, well, morale has cratered, they've lost a lot of good people, and it's going to negatively impact something like the Elder Scrolls 6. So is Xbox's grand plan already in danger? Are they already shooting themselves in the foot? Are they stepping on another rake? I am shocked to see, in response to all of this, people are still kind of on Xbox's side because they've just, like Jimmy has said, they've been waiting on an Elder Scrolls or a new Fallout game for over a decade at this point.
But we have sat through 10 years of this era of creative freedom where you get bought and you work on whatever you want, and it has generated games that take 10 years and aren't very good when they come out. It needs to change. It needs to end. I'm glad it's ending. I wish people didn't have to lose their jobs, but like the best era of gaming was teams of 100 to 150 people at max. And now we're talking thousands of people potentially across the entire world. It's just grown too hard to control, clearly. Like something big clearly needed to change. And obviously the people complaining clearly liked the situation they had where they didn't have to ship games and they could just incubate and creatively ideate and have meetings all day long and just be governed by HR, and that's changing. If they're upset, I think we're moving in the right direction because they might actually have to start shipping a game.
I'm conflicted. I said this in my last video because I want an Elder Scrolls game and a new Fallout game, new Halo, new Gears. I want all of that.
Well, you're getting it.
But like, this is a pretty steep cost, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know how to ship a game or make a game or do anything when it comes to game development. But it is kind of hard as someone looking from the outside in. It's easy to be like, so what's been going on, right? The easy answer is, well, they've been working on Starfield, and that is, yeah.
But have they? But have they?
They tried it. It didn't work out. It's time to pivot, right? Would we be having this conversation if instead of working on Starfield, they were like, you know what, we should try to strike while the iron is hot. Everyone loves Skyrim. They want a new Elder Scrolls game. Maybe we should work on something like that. Instead of making us wait 15 years, what if they made us wait 6 years? Would they be in this position that they are in right now? I don't really know.
No.
Even if they made something like, it didn't even have to be a new Elder Scrolls game. Maybe just a follow-up to Skyrim. There's so much story-wise that they could have done, especially with the Thalmor plot line. On the other hand, I could see how this could really your day and your overall morale if you are a dev at Bethesda right now. They lost a lot of experience. They lost a lot of good people. And what's being reported is that they're worried about crunch. They're worried about, it looks like they're going to go back to like a contractor model. So they're going to have to get these guys up to speed that they're contracting out because their engine is proprietary and all that. And we know that that did not go super well with Halo Infinite, right? Like Halo Infinite was 343, mostly relied on contractors. There was a huge amount of churn. So I don't know.
Honestly, I've been in situations like this before, having worked in a lot of different fields, like from IT all the way to marketing. And I've been in situations like this where, you know, a lot of people get laid off, the team shrinks, there's a little bit of culture shock and just shock in general. That's a prime opportunity for someone who didn't get laid off or, you know, just got hired to really buckle down and start working and not try to pass off their work to contractors or grow a new team and hire more people to rebuild. So I think we could potentially see some star talent start to come up that might not have otherwise gotten to do that because they had all these roles filled for sometimes decades, right? Like pressure creates diamonds. That's what I'm trying to say. So hopefully that happens, but whatever they were doing before just clearly wasn't working. Like Oblivion still isn't fixed on any platform. They just released it on Switch 2. They still haven't finished it. We're waiting on this Fallout 3 remaster that's been in the works for half a decade at this point. Elder Scrolls 6 is taking 15 years. Starfield patches take 6 months to a year to add basic features people were asking for. In my opinion, it got to a point where a drastic change was needed and we got the drastic change. So hopefully it results in something good, but you never know.
They're saying it might delay the whole game. Do you think that with the heavy hand that Xbox is taking right now, let's be honest, they're kind of cracking the whip right now. Do you think that Asha would really let that happen?
Yeah, I think if there's like a collective movement to say, well, it's going to take longer, she'll say, well, I've got 15 other studios that'll just jump at the opportunity to make the next Elder Scrolls. And I'm sure they would love to drop whatever they're doing and start working on that immediately. Like sometimes you got to be the bad guy, dude. Like there's no other way to say it. And they need a bad guy. The Kumbaya, like creative freedom era is over. We need an Elder Scrolls. We need a Fallout. We need more Halo. We need a good Halo. We need some multiplayer. Like there's no good Halo multiplayer right now.
Speaking of an end of an era, we're talking about the end of creative freedom, Kumbaya, pretty much all of the tenets that Phil Spencer was trying to lay down. Asha herself comes out and says that that was not working out. And one of those things is Game Pass. According to GameIndustry.biz, Game Pass subscriber count is less than 50% of its original and target that they were hoping they would reach by 2026. The reported 30 million figure of subscribers is well below the 77 million user goal that Microsoft set for the subscription service for 2026. And that is Game Pass, and the day one model was the one competitive advantage, the one major one that Xbox still had over PlayStation and Nintendo. And to see that people didn't really adopt it at the rate that everyone is hoping, that's tough. That's brutal.
Yeah, I've been on this channel a long time, like more than 3 years, I want to say. And I've said from the start that there is only one way Game Pass ends and it's not good. It just doesn't make sense. You can't provide the amount of content quick enough that you need to fill a library. And when you're marketing it towards your core fans, they're not going to get excited to see a bunch of old games they probably bought day one show up in the service. It just doesn't make sense. And it's crazy that they were funding it with Minecraft profits. That is nuts. Like, I've heard for years, Game Pass is sustainable, Game Pass is profitable. In reality, it has this gaping wound in its leg that's just bleeding out, and they're filling that with gauze that they pulled from Minecraft's profits. Like, learn to cut and run, dude. Like, this should have happened a long time ago.
That's tough. And do you think this is something that Xbox fans could adjust to if like you said, they just decide to cut and run on Game Pass entirely? Game Pass disappears tomorrow. Is there a way they could come out and say, in order to achieve the goals we want as a company, in order to survive, we have to roll back on Game Pass? And is that something people would be cool with?
They're kind of in a decent spot for that because the users of Game Pass are their hardest core of hardcore fans, and the people who would actually, seek out and listen to Asha if she had a message like that. I wouldn't completely kill it. What I would do is kind of clone PS Plus Extra, where you fill it with third parties just to keep it, active. You add a few every single month in a rolling period. And then you just set a timeline where, like, if you want to play the next Fallout or Elder Scrolls 6 day one, you buy it for $70 or $80, whatever it's going to be. If you want to play it on Game Pass, you've got to wait 2 to 3 years or 1 to 3 years or something. Like, set a timeline for those first party games. So then you can kind of keep it around, but then, actually make money on your games and keep your studios alive and have Xbox be a business and not this disaster that we're in right now.
There has to be a balance, right? Like, even if they said it'll come 6 months after it launches, then that's a little too soon, because people are like, I'll just wait 6 months to play it.
You can wait 6 months. Can you wait a year though?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really, really tough position. And it's another thing that Asha basically inherited. I wonder if she would even want Game Pass at all if she had her say.
There's like a big black hole in the center of all of these discussions. That is, what the are they doing with hardware next generation? I feel like that once that is answered, that gets the ball rolling, right, on everything else. But you've got to figure that out, because if they are moving to exclusives, if they are changing Game Pass, if they are going to get rid of Xbox Live monthly fees, these are all rumors we've heard. It all centers on the hardware and what they're doing with it. Like, I feel like they're getting better at not letting stuff leak, because we don't know who bought Undead Labs. We don't know who bought Ninja Theory. And that is information you'd expect to leak like immediately. So maybe there's just something we don't know about their next generation hardware, and this will actually be a good surprise. Who knows? But I feel like that's the real question that needs to be answered before they can really figure out what to do with Game Pass.
And Jim, last but not least, we have to talk about the future of Halo. We've been talking about, Xbox is going to pivot to these tentpole, iconic franchises. And we have both been pretty critical of 343 and Halo Studios on the channel before. And now rumors are starting up suggesting that the Halo franchise might be handed off to a studio under Activision. And I want to get your thoughts and your feelings about that.
So I think if this is a threat to get them to actually get to work and finish their projects, it's a really good idea, because if there's anyone who can make a Halo game in less than a year, it's all these Activision Call of Duty studios. I don't necessarily know if I'd want to see that, because like that would potentially hurt Call of Duty's release cycle and, cause other problems for successful organizations within the business. But I've been watching Rebs Gaming, and I heard that this like Project Ecker, the multiplayer battle royale extraction shooter Halo game that was all multiplayer, was actually coming along really well. And then shocker, they had a huge disaster meltdown with the third release of Halo Campaign Evolved. And then they had to move all the people over, and then they were like, just cancel it. And that's happened multiple times with this Halo Studios shit. So like, I don't know. They need to figure something out, whether it's scare them into working, give the game away to someone else. As long as there's movement, I'm happy. I'm crossing my fingers that this rumor about an ODST Destiny style game is real. That is like crack to me, dude. I've wanted that since I was like 6. Like an online game that's like infinitely playable where you make your own ODST. I'm there day one for that. I hope that's real.
Yeah, my pick, if they were gonna give it away, would have been id Studios, but rest in peace. They don't seem to have the people left over. to work on any game, not even their own IP. And on top of that, I'm wary about if they did hand it off to someone, I don't know, like Treyarch or Infinity Ward.
I was thinking Raven.
I remember the big criticism about Halo 4 and Halo Reach even was that they were trying too hard to be like Call of Duty and it no longer felt like Halo. You know, shorter dev cycles, more frequent game releases might be cool, but honestly, I think we just have to wait and see how people respond to Halo Campaign Evolved. If people really ride for it, really, that could be some positive momentum at least for Halo Studios, even if they decide to just go and make a Halo 2 remake, Halo 3 remake. Now they've had like some base hits, they've gotten on base, so now they can maybe get it together and work on something like an ODST extraction style shooter. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff we got to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you want an extended cut of this video, check out my Patreon. I have the link down below, and you'll have details on how you can join the Xbox Ready Discord, talk about all this stuff, maybe even get featured on the channel. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next one.